So the thing about Seth Rollins, who I think is clearly telegraphed to win at this point, is that I like him, but I don't love him. He's an uninspiring choice, and I'm frankly not really looking forward to 3 months of him telling us, you know what, I'm worthier than Brock Lesnar because I turn up to work every Monday. I turn up Monday to Friday, and I'm not begging for a Universal Championship match on Raw. It's just not for me. An inspiring choice for me, and this is coming straight out of left field, is the Velveteen Dream. It's an audacious choice for an audacious character, and it's perfectly fitting to that character because he wants to be famous yesterday, and how better to become famous than being the first to win the Royal Rumble in their debut match. Meanwhile, WWE is promising freshness, widespread change, and I just don't think there's anything more of a mission statement than having Velveteen Dream win this entire match. And he's the perfect contrast character to someone like Daniel Bryan, who I think you should challenge for immediately following the win. And I think Daniel Bryan is the best expert technician to just remove any lingering greenness that Velveteen Dream still got about him. I just think it's time for something brand new. Yeah, it is. It's really interesting.
I mean, I don't want to crap on the guy when I think a lot of people at the moment after the Dean Ambrose feud are crapping on Seth Rollins, and Martin Luther King Day probably wasn't the best day for the straightest, whitest, malest male member of the roster to talk about his dream and believing in the dream. But Seth Rollins will win the Rumble because he's the best of what's left on Monday Night Raw. The Royal Rumble card is as good as it is because most of the stars aren't really in the match. So that leaves Seth Rollins. But it kind of brings me to who I think should win the Royal Rumble match. And that's a guy that's elsewhere on the show. As long as Brock Lesnar and Finn Balor go on first, that gives Finn Balor time to put in his best effort but lose narrowly, go backstage, get painted up and come out at number 30 or number 29 as the Demon. We've already seen him go head to head with Brock and come this close. He can win the Royal Rumble and then he can go to WrestleMania with a new streak for Brock to conquer. WWE have been super protective over the Demon character. Brock's defeated The Undertaker on the grandest stage. He defeated Roman Reigns when nobody would have picked it. Now can he defeat another undefeatable force in Finn Balor? It'll be a rematch from the Royal Rumble, but it'll feel completely different because most people will assume it's Brock's last night and the Demon has never lost.
Well, I think most people are going to go with Seth Rollins, so I'm going to pick someone a little bit different. Not that different, to be perfectly honest. I'm going to go with Braun Strowman to win the 2019 Royal Rumble. Not that different, really. Look, they took him out of the match against Brock Lesnar because they didn't want him to lose again. I can see him coming in, cleaning house, just like he did at the greatest Royal Rumble match, eliminating 13 people in there. He could even wear his big green belt down to the ring. He won't, because they want you to forget everything about the greatest Royal Rumble, but look, he is huge. He can chuck so many people out of the ring. Seth Rollins just seems a very uninspiring choice. And how on earth are you going to get Braun Strowman over the top rope? It's impossible. So he will win. Who should win, though, is Matt Riddle. Can you imagine Matt Riddle coming down to the ring near the end somewhere, leaping over that top rope, kicking off his flip-flops, eliminating everyone else, and then going to WrestleMania and beating the absolute piss out of Captain Gammon himself, Brock Lesnar? It should be Matt Riddle, but it will be Braun Strowman.
You say they want us to forget everything about Greatest Royal Rumble. Do you not think a very certain spot's going to be referenced on Sunday night?
Yeah.
What spot's that?
I would imagine Titus O'Neil's going to make a bit of a tit of himself.
Kris, who's going to win the 2019 Men's Royal Rumble match?
Cena. Brilliant.
Well, I think this is quite an interesting year. Well, maybe interesting's not the word. It's more of a weird year in that there doesn't seem to be one clear standout to win. Normally that would breed a bit of excitement. Who's going to win? Is it going to be a big surprise? But all of the options, the realistic options, just seem kind of uninspiring. So I guess with talk that WWE really want to do him versus Brock at WrestleMania, the obvious choice is unfortunately Seth Rollins. Now I think a lot of people will be very happy with that. He's certainly very popular. He's a great athlete, blah de blah de blah. But it just feels kind of meh, especially coming out of that terrible, terrible Dean Ambrose feud. Now, in a situation like this, where there's no particularly great first option, I think it would be a good idea for them to just kind of use the spot to make a new star. Pick an unexpected guy and push him straight to the moon. It's a very un-WWE thing to do, But Velveteen Dream's been talking some cool stuff on social media about not showing up, blah blah blah, until he gets a new contract. That'll be fun. Tommaso Ciampa, who I think is the boy. He's ready-made to be a top-level main event heel. He's done everything he needs to do in NXT apart from drop the belt, so why not?
Well, the WWE have been kind of like promising this whole era of change, and it's not really taken full effect yet, so I think the safe choice to say who will win this year's Men's Royal Rumble will be Seth Rollins, because he is the guy that deserves to be moved up to the main event. He's been sort of middling, but not really sure what was going on since obviously the Shield was disbanded. His feud with Ambrose wasn't too great, so I'm glad to see him. This might put him back on the map, as it were, back in the main event. That's what I think that they will do. What I'd like them to do, though, is have John Cena win. And it might seem like really weird to say that because he's been in the main event for so long, and it would actually be pushing people who maybe deserve more of the spotlight down. But you tell me that him versus Daniel Bryan wouldn't be an absolute corker of a match.
I can't.
So there we go.
I can't see.
Yeah, can't see that happening, Jules. Can't see that happening.
I don't get it.
I believe, as a lot of people in this office probably believe, I think it's going to be Seth Rollins. I want to give you a different answer. There's probably a number of different ways they could go, but I think they've got stock in the Brock Lesnar-Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania. To be honest, as a big Seth Rollins fan, not against that at all. I do think he's lost a bit of steam recently, but Seth's the big time player, man. He put him on the main stage at WrestleMania and have him go up against Brock. Hell, have him beat Brock. He never actually beat Brock during all the little matches and interactions they had. Think about how good the match with Brock and Cena was. That was pretty damn great at the Royal Rumble, whatever year that was. I don't know, I can't really see past Seth, to be honest. But if we're talking about who I personally would want to see is who should win the Royal Rumble, I've got a little story for you.
Ooh.
I've got a little story.
Little bit of
story. Some fantasy booking that I've come up with. And this, just allow me to dream for a minute, gentlemen. So it's the Royal Rumble. Finn Balor has just lost earlier in the night to Brock Lesnar. First match, maybe. As the man. Finn Balor. Comes out later in the night as the demon Finn Balor for the Royal Rumble. Excitement, imagine the lights all go off, yada, yada, yada. And then, just when you think that's good, Kevin Owens returns, right? And storms back into the Royal Rumble scene. Bum, bum, bum. Owens has arrived. There you go. Cue the music, everybody, because Adam Wilborn. Do give us another blast of that. There he is. Kevin Owens comes storming out. You think, oh my God, it's Kevin Owens. He's turned back up. Finn Balor, Demon Finn Balor, and Kevin Owens are the last two men, after a whole bunch of stuff's gone on, last two men, and they eliminate each other together. Both go over the top, right? What? Mind explodes. So what happens next is, we've got two winners. We can't have two winners. Of course you can't have two winners. So we have to have a match. Although the match, Elimination Chamber will it be? That match doesn't decide a winner because Brock Lesnar just decides to turn up and destroy them all. So what we get is a triple threat match at WrestleMania. The two ex-Universal Champions who never had a rematch against Brock Lesnar in your probably main event, or probably not. Depends how you want to see it. I'm just going to take this mic off, and that's it from me, baby.
Seth Rollins is going to win the Royal Rumble match because they like to have a guy, don't they? They always need to have a guy. Seth Rollins is very clearly the guy at the minute, and we've heard for months and months and months and months that he's going to be main event at WrestleMania, and it's really weird because they only ever book him really, really well or really, really badly. Like, he spent like a year being the company's top heel, and then nothing, and then they were like, oh, you're actually going to wrestle Triple H at Mania, and then nothing, and now it's like, no, won't you be the guy again? And I like Rollins. I think he gets too much stick. I think he's way better than people give him credit for. People think he's like rubbish since his injury. I think he's still pretty good, but I think everyone's saying it's a slightly underwhelming choice and one that's very obviously telegraphed. But I tell you who should win. I'm going to sound a bit like Michael Hamflett here, but crucially, not exactly like Michael Hamflett. I think the Demon should get beaten off Brock, because we're all like, oh, they protected the Demon so well. Like, oh, they've kept the mystique going, but like, for who? For bands who buy the toys and the dolls. Like, WWE don't care about the Demon gimmick. Like, he spent like 10 years making that on New Japan. They do not care about that. The Demon should get beat off Brock Lesnar at the start of the night, and then Finn Balor, battered and bruised, should win the Royal Rumble.
Hero is inside.
The hero was inside him all along, and then he does this thing about, I've hid behind this character for all these years, for my entire career, but I realise now that Finn Balor is who I am, and it's Finn Balor who at WrestleMania, Brock, is gonna come back and take, because it's not technically a rematch, is it? Because we've all played 2K18 and 19. The Demon and Finn Balor are different characters. So it's a different match. It's a different match entirely, so.
Does he beat Brock at WrestleMania?
Oh, of course he does, because the Demon was the friends he made along the way. The real hero was the man inside of him all along. That's who should win. That's what I think. But obviously Seth Rollins will win, so none of this matters.
Seth Rollins will win the 2019 Men's Royal Rumble match.
But Rollins.
Yeah,